Hi, do you want to learn about the new features that are available on the Trading 212 app? Or do you know that there is a hidden new fees that has been added by Trading 212? Then you need to watch this video. In this video, I'm going to run through the new features that have been added on the Trading 212 app, and I'll also be going through the hidden fees that has been recently added on the Trading 212 app. Hello and welcome to The Nimble Nomad. My name is Arjun and this is the channel where we talk about money related tips, tricks and hacks to survive and thrive in the UK. Now it's no secret that Trading 212 is by far my favorite investment platform of all time because it absolutely charges no fees and it has great features through the app. However, Trading 212 is a relatively new investment platform in the UK, and they make several changes to the app and its functionality on a gradual basis, and often people don't actually realize the features that have been added or the functionality that may or may not have changed on the app. So in this video, actually, I just want to run through 3 features that you may or may not know about, but just actually show you what happens when you use them and how you can efficiently use the app in case you aren't familiar with these. What I'll also be talking about is there is a new fees which Trading 212 has added on, and this was introduced in Jan of 2021. So if you aren't familiar with this could actually help save you some money because there is a way of getting around this. So I'll be running through that as well in this video. Now, before I get into the main content of this video, I would appreciate if you are interested in opening an account with Trading 212 and you haven't got one, then why not consider opening it with the link that I've got in the description below. If you do use it, you could get a share of up to £100. Of course, full disclosure, I get a free share as well, but that way we both win. You just need to deposit £1, and then if you don't want to use the share, just sell it and then you can withdraw the money and do whatever you want with it. So let's get into the main content of this video. Okay, so the first feature that I really want to talk about is Dividend Auto Reinvest. Now, on my channel, I talk a lot about dividend investing and how dividend investing can be a source of passive income. And one of the main things with building a passive income through dividend investing is to reinvest dividends that good companies pay you. Now, most investment platforms allow you to reinvest or auto reinvest the dividends that you earn. Of course, you can manually do it, but it's always better when these things are automated. Now, why should you do it? Because simply put, this is where the power of compounding works. So let's just take the simple assumption that you had cash. Now, if you had £100 in a bank account, and assuming the bank account gave you a 5% interest, and after 1 year, that 5% became £105. Now, if you left the money as is within the same bank account and the interest rate remained the same, then the following year you'd get another 5% added on to the 105 as the base. The same concept applies with shares, except you're actually increasing your stake in the business by a repurchase of the shares by auto reinvesting your dividend. So let's say you had one share, that share paid you a dividend of 5%, you reinvested the 5% back into the same share, you'd own 5% more of the same company on the value of one share. So that's what auto reinvest is. So let's get into how actually you can set up auto reinvest on the app, and then I'll show you what the mechanisms are for the other features as well. Right, so I'm here on my wife's phone. As usual, I use this when I'm trying to walk through any features on Trading 212. So let's open up the Trading 212 app. So there you go, it's the first app. So here's her portfolio. You've probably seen this before. It's still in the red. That's because we're still having a choppy or a downturn in the UK market for the stocks that she owns. But what I want to talk about is the auto reinvest app functionality on the app. Now, unfortunately, for individual stocks that you own, you can't actually set up auto reinvest. But what you can do is through the pie functionality, which is here, you can actually set up a auto reinvest. Now, you do it is you actually create a pie. So a pie on Trading 212 is essentially the ability to group multiple stocks into a basket. And what you can do is you contribute into those pies. Now, as you can see here, I've created, or my wife's created pies with individual stocks. But she has a stock which actually is a very high paying dividend stock, which is British American Tobacco, which is here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up auto reinvest for that. So let's go into the pie section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pie. So I'm going to click this open pie library, and then I'm going to search for British American Tobacco, and the ticker for that is BATS. So there you go, that gets added. So what I'll do is I'll click this plus sign, and I've selected that. Now, as you can see here at the bottom, it says selected instruments 1. Now, if I click this, it tells me what the annual report return will be. Ignore that because that sometimes can be incorrect, but it says how much of the pie do I want to allocate towards British Tobacco. Now, because we only want one stock, we allocate it as 100%. Now, what I'll do is I'll select next. And then what I can do is I can choose to have auto invest, which means I automatically invest into this pie, or I manually do it. Now, because we've already got the stock in our portfolio, I will select manual, and then I'll go next. Now I'm just going to name this BATS pie so that it's whatever, and then I'm going to give it an icon. Let's give it this one, and then create the pie. Now I've created the pie, but you can see that there's nothing in it. So now what I need to do is I need to go into the pie. You can say it says £0 as invested or cash. But what I go do is I click holdings, and then right at the bottom, I select more actions. Now here is where you actually import the pie. So this you can do with any other stocks that you own as well, but I'm doing it for specifically British American Tobacco because it's in my investment portfolio, and it's one of the stocks which currently isn't in a pie. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select next, and I want to allocate the full 100% because I want all 30 shares of hers to be auto reinvested when the dividend gets paid out. So I confirm that, and there you go. So now I've created a pie with a single share, but the main thing that we're after, which was auto reinvest. Now, dividend income. So here right there in the overview is a setting on dividend incomes. And what I can do is I can go into the setting and I can select auto reinvest on or off. Obviously, I want it on because every time they pay a dividend, it will get reinvested. So now this is how I've created a pie. Okay, so the second feature that I want to talk about is the inability to sell, or the sell button not being available for some of your investments. So a lot of people and some of my friends actually have said on Trading 212 they can't actually see the sell button available to them. Now there's a reason for this, which I'm going to show you again on the app now as well. Okay, so we're back on the app, and again we're on the portfolio page, but let's look at BP. So BP is a sizable holding that my wife has on her portfolio. But if I click BP, the only thing I can do with it is buy. There's no sell button available. Now that's a bit annoying, isn't it? Because you can't actually sell it if for some reason, the stock goes up really high and I want to now sell it, but there is no sell option. Now the reason for that is actually because BP is in a pie of its own. And the only way that you can actually sell it is if I go into holdings, go to more actions, and I export the investment. So I have to export everything that I have on BP. And then if I go back to the investments page, then I go into BP, then I have the sell option available to me here. So if you have a stock which is actually already part of a pie, then you will not have the sell option available to you. And I can show this to you with another example for BAT, which is the one that we just created. And you can see again, the sell option isn't actually available. So in order to do this, this is the disadvantage with actually having pies and having the auto reinvest on, but it is an important one to keep in mind. Don't assume that, or don't panic that you can't sell it, or Trading 212 is blocking you, or they've disabled that feature. But that's just something that they have, which is a nuance of having investments within pie. So any investments, even if you've got multiple investments in a singular pie, just make sure you remove them from the pie before you take them out, and then you'll be able to sell them. The third and final feature that I want to talk about on Trading 212 is the foreign currency return rate that you can actually see on Trading 212. So this is a relatively new feature that's been added in, and a lot of people may or may not have actually already noticed it. So basically what happens is, if you have a UK investment account or an ISA and you're using that to buy shares, let's say in the US stock market, obviously the US shares are in USD. So there is a bit of a currency risk that you have. So what can happen is even though the price of the stock goes up, you might be in the red with that particular stock, because either the US currency has dropped significantly in value, or the pound has increased in strength, which will result in your return diminishing significantly. So let's have a look at that on the app. What I'm going to do is, my wife doesn't actually have any US equities, but what I did do was I did record a screen share on my own phone, because I own a couple of US equities. So let's walk through that now. So we're here on my account, and as you can see, I have Starbucks, which is a pretty significant portion. I have 10 shares, but you can see that there's a return option here, and that basically says I have a 32.87%. But if I click on it, I can see the gain and loss and the FX impact. Now this FX impact is dependent on the currency calculation that Trading 212 is using. Now obviously the FX impact will go up or down depending on how the currency performs. But what you can see is, if you want to ever buy or even sell your shares depending on the return that you've gained, then this actually is a pretty important feature which enables you to make that decision. The main thing to keep in mind though is that the true return is the top one, not the actual the return value that you're seeing, but also it enables you to understand why your shares may be in red despite the dollar value actually having gone up. So this is a great way to actually track it, but it's one of the reasons why actually I'm a little bit hesitant with investing large sums in foreign stocks, because you get hit with this currency risk, especially in this extremely volatile environment that we're currently in. So those were the key features of Trading 212 that I wanted to run through. But now let's look at that hidden fees that I was talking about, which Trading 212 has introduced in January of 2021. So in January of 2021, Trading 212 sent this email to me, and they basically said from the 4th of January, they're introducing a limit, which is a lifetime limit on the amount of free deposits that you can make via other methods other than bank or instant transfer. So basically, if you decide to fund your account through a credit card, a debit card, or through any of the electronic pay mechanisms such as Google, Apple, or Skrill Pay, then basically you can only transfer up to £2,000 in total for free. Any amount over this through any of these three mechanisms will result in a charge of 0.7% thereafter. So This actually is a fees, because in essence, if you it's quite an expensive fees, because if you transfer anything, if you transfer £100, you're basically going to get charged £1. But if you increase the value of transfers through these mechanisms, then that proportion becomes quite significant and you do start feeling it. Of course, this fees does not apply for ISA transfers, but this does for any of these three mechanisms. So the best way to actually avoid this fees is to link a bank account on Trading 212. Once you link a bank account, you can make bank account transfers to your Trading 212 account and you will not be charged a fees. So this is a great way to overcome this, because these remain free at this current point in time. Of course, Trading 212 may decide to change them, but it's a great way to make sure you don't get charged that fees and the platform remains free to use for yourself. So that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope some of these features and the explanation of the fees and how to get around it helped you out. And if it did, please smash that like button and do not forget to subscribe. And I shall see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Goodbye.